This is Diego. And this is Cami. Say hello.
Hello.
Cami's going to show you the right way to do leash work with Diego.
So you always want to make sure that you're walking with a loose leash so that way there's room to tug every time you get from the command. Diego, sit. Good boy. So this is kind of like a way of communicating to him that he needs to pay attention to what you're saying. And then we have a release phrase, which is, let's go. And then you would also tug to make sure he's paying attention. Diego, sit. Good boy. Diego, down. Good boy. Stay.
And the only reason we have him on the rug like Aladdin is because if he's not on the rug, then they slip and slide all over the place. Especially with, they can do downs on the slippery floor, but the sitting doesn't go so well.
Stay.
So he got up, but then she just pushed him right back down. And he wasn't being bad, he just wasn't so sure. So then she showed him that he was supposed to stay in a down. And now he's contented himself there.
So again, you want to use on the leash before you go. Let's go.
When she tugs like that, it just is another way of communicating to him. It's kind of like leash language. So that they feel something and they hear you say something at the same time.
Right.
It's very effective.
So as you can see, he's walking in a fairly loose leash. He's pretty attentive to me. If he were to get distracted by anything, he would just make sure that you really hold it and then tug on the leash again. Which is where we add distractions for your training, and you teach him the leave it command. So right now, I'm going to place him on the place board. Sit. Down. Down. Stay. So what you do with this command is that I'm just going to walk past him, and obviously he's going to want to go towards the food. But using leash corrections, we'll teach him the command to leave it. Let's go. Diego, sit. Good boy. Let's go. Leave it.
I don't know if you saw it, but as soon as she said leave it, he looked away from the bowl and he looked at her, which was awesome. She's just tugging a little when he passes it. And then she's not dragging him away from it. She yanks once, and then he follows her away. So he's choosing to leave it when she tells him to.
Let's go.
But you want to practice with this at home with things that he is chewing that he's not supposed to be chewing. We tried to pull out shoes and all kinds of things that we thought would be attractive to him and teach him this with those things, and he really wasn't into it here. So the only thing he really was into was obviously his food. So we worked with that. But you could do this at home with something that he is obsessed with. And so just to teach him that when you say leave it, you mean for him to leave it alone entirely.
So eventually, instead of being so fixated on it, he might just look at it and he's still walking next to you.
Exactly. And eventually you're not going to need the leash, but you're just going to have to practice with this right now. And the reason the leash is helpful right now too is that because he's still a puppy, you just got to give him some grace, and you're basically making it easy on him with the leash. You're helping him to physically remove himself and look away from what is tempting him, so to speak. But as they get older and as they get better and better at this, you don't need a leash. You'll be able to say it off, when they're free, and they'll physically remove themselves from it. It's really awesome, and they'll look away from it. And we've done a lot of this, a lot of practice.
The leave it command in different ways. Like for example, place, sit, down. Good boy. Something that I do is that after I finish training them, I pull out something that they like a treat. And just put it on the place board, and you place the treat in front of them and just practice leaving it. So he's clearly on the place board. He knows good because it's obvious that he's more attentive to me than to the treat. Good boy, Diego. Good boy.
And then she rewards him with it at the end.
So again, it's not just food. It can be whatever he likes, whatever he's fixated on, like a pair of shoes or.
So yeah, it would be good to even have a toy that is his. And so if he goes after something that is yours, you tell him to leave it and you swap him. You go, here you go, have your toy instead. Kind of like make a trade. And then they don't think that giving things up is a bad thing. It's all part of the game.
So the expectation is for him to stay there until you release him, until you go over there and you tell him, let's go. So it's good to just practice doing this, where you literally put him on the place board, and then you just go about doing whatever it is you need to do, making sure that he stays there until you let him go. And that'll keep him from doing things like chewing things he's not supposed to. Because when you don't give your dog a job, then he's more prone, more likely to be distracted by things that he just finds on the floor.
Yeah, and the cool thing about these place boards is that we let them do whatever they want to do while they are on the place board. They can have toys, they can play. I don't care if they're standing up or sitting or spinning in circles, but the rule is just that they have to keep all four paws on the place board. And it's easier for them to know where they're supposed to be and where their boundaries are with these place boards, specifically because they're up off the ground and there's no confusion as to where their actual spot is.
So that's really handy, like if you're having a movie night and everyone's out in the living room and Diego wants to be with you, but you want to make sure that he's not causing any trouble, you just put him on this place board and he can be with you in that safe, controlled environment.
Or as you're cooking in the kitchen, so he doesn't get underfoot.
Ooh, yes, that's nice. Deeper place. There. Good boy.
Tell us, Cammy, what would you do if you got off of the place board?
Well, since he's not doing it right now, if I'm way on the other side of the room and see that he's gotten out, I would just firmly take him and physically just grab him and put him there firmly. It doesn't help to scream and yell at your dogs. That's not going to tell them anything. They're not going to understand that. What they understand is just making sure that you place them back where you left them, exactly in the same place. You don't want to let them get away with anything. Make sure that you always follow through with your commands until you yourself have released them from it. That's pretty much the only thing, that helps.
Yeah. And you can reward them when they get back to their place board.
Right.
So that they realize that that's the spot that they're supposed to be in.
And it's always good, even if they're perfect and they never get up and leave. It's always good to just hop in and check in on them and just give them a treat. Just for being good.
Yay, Diego.